With more, I'm joined by Gilles Levasseur. He's a business and law professor at the University of Ottawa. Good morning. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Good morning.
So the trains are back up and running. That was going to start local time. What do you make of the fact that this whole deal was done? And what do you expect CN to be offering to these employees as they're now back on the job?
Well, the first key thing is that the employees want a certain job security. As we have seen in previous week, CN decided to cut close to 1,600 jobs. So people are nervous of the restructure that's going on. And the time of this strike was important for them because it was allowing them to actually negotiate better conditions. So there's the salary, but there's also the benefits and a certain stability in future employment. So that's for the CN employees was critical to go on strike for a lot of them because only negotiation power they had left. The sad part is that it impacts the economy, and it will take time to deal with all these costs because when you're actually always operating and suddenly for 2 weeks you don't have any mechanism to deliver your product or receive the goods to actually produce, it does create this technical difficulty in the business. And the problem is that there's losses, and these losses, they take time to be compensated with future revenue. So it's a big impact for a lot of businesses across Canada.
What will the economic fallout from the 8-day strike look like?
Well, the thing is this, will create certain jobs that will be cut for a certain time because either the business cannot compete anymore because they've lost those revenues or because they have this surplus and they need to actually, sell them at a lower cost. So again, the business needs to actually take that loss. So it means that there'll be some actual changes in the employment for certain companies because they have no choice. They cannot keep employees if they don't have the revenues, and they have to deal with selling their products and making sure they can produce them at the proper goods. One of the key problems that could happen also is that, the clients, they go to other suppliers. So they've decided to move their business to other, businesses themselves. So you lose clients. So you have to re-get them back. And that may also be a very costly issue.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about that. Did the strike and the suspension of rail expose any problems in the system?
Absolutely. When people have these firm contracts, they actually work in the process called just in time. They only keep very low inventories to actually lower their cost of production. When you run out of these actual inventories, you have to go somewhere. And if you have someone that's reliable that will be able to bring you that product or will able to accept to have a certain deal with you at a different price, you follow that new opportunity. And so that is the first key thing we need to look at. But the second thing we need to look at is also there's certain areas, such as in agriculture, you cannot sell the goods because they're no longer available for the public because either they have to be destroyed or thrown out because they perish. And we cannot sell that are not usable for consumption. So there is that loss also that can never be recovered. The goods are no longer there. And so people don't realize the impact of the actual strike of the CN. It does impact immensely a lot of sectors. Agriculture is one of them. And energy is another area, and it's a very costly, element for the society.
Okay, glad you could be with us this morning. Gilles Levasseur, he is a business and law professor at the University of Ottawa.